Hello and welcome to Watch Releases Recap for the week of July 12th until July the 19th. Let's begin with Tissot and their new Heritage 1938 COSC certified chronometer. Last year Tissot released this Heritage 1938 collection with 3 different dial combinations. You had the salmon one, the black one, and sort of a black and white with a sub-seconds hand. This year there is a new addition to this collection with a white/silver dial and blue accents. And I think this is my favorite version of the watch. I really like how clean and sharp this dial looks. Everything else about the watch is exactly the same as previous year's collection. It still comes in the same stainless steel case. It's about 39 millimeters in diameter and only 11.5 millimeters in case height. These watches wear superbly on the wrist. They come with 50 meters of water resistance and they're powered by the ETA 2824-2. That -2 is very important in this instance because that's the COSC certified version of the movement, and that's why Tissot can put chronometer on the dial. To be certified as a chronometer, you have to pay and you have to get your movement tested. So it's pretty cool that you can get this officially certified chronometer from a brand like Tissot for about $900 US. That's how much these watches are going for, and this new model will be added to the standard catalog. It's not a limited edition. I think it's an amazing value for money, and of course on the gray market these watches are even cheaper. And I actually wonder if this is the cheapest officially certified chronometer on the market, at least from the sort of big brands. I think it is, but maybe I'm wrong. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know if there is a cheaper chronometer on the market right now. The new Squale 1521 Marina Militare Limited Edition. Squale is a brand with a very long history and very strong ties to Italian military. They used to have a contract with Italian Marines, I believe, to issue watches for active duty servicemen. And over the years, there were quite a few of these limited edition watches to kind of celebrate the fact and also take advantage of the great marketing opportunity of having the collaboration with official military branches. This new limited edition is no different. It's here to celebrate Squale and Italian Navy's long-term partnership and give you sort of the greatest hits collection at the same time. So first of all, this watch has these orange accents, which are very important to Squale as a brand. They have the sort of orange shade that is part of their brand identity. You also see Marina Militare by the 6 o'clock position, and I'm sorry about my pronunciation, that's the best I can do, but essentially that's the Navy branch of military for Italian armed services. And of course you have the Squale logo by the 12 o'clock position. The nice thing about this model specifically that it only features one Squale logo. If you're familiar with this brand, you know that they love to put the logo twice. That harkens back to the days when they used to produce cases for Blancpain, so they had to sort of indicate twice Squale logo. That was the tradition. One was for the sort of brand of the watch and the other logo was for the case manufacturer, and they kind of carried on that tradition and kind of reminded everyone in the process that they used to create cases for Blancpain. A lot of watch enthusiasts do appreciate the history of Squale, but having 2 logos of the brand on the dial is just a little bit too much. So I'm glad that they showed some restraint here and only had 1 logo. As far as the case goes, this one is very reasonable. It's made out of stainless steel, 42 millimeter case diameter, 48 millimeters lug-to-lug distance, and it's only about 12.5 millimeters in case height, which is very reasonable and it should fit majority of the wrists just fine. These watches are powered by the Sellita SW200-1. It's an automatic movement beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 26 joules and 38 hours of power reserve. This diver also features an impressive 500 meters of water resistance, and it's also limited to 500 pieces. As I mentioned, this will be a limited edition. From my understanding, what they're going to do, they're going to make 250 pieces this year and 250 pieces next year. And these watches are priced at 1,340 Swiss francs, which is around $1,500 US. I think it's an okay price for a watch like this, a limited edition from a brand with very rich history and some military ties. I know a lot of collectors are really into these watches. The new Seiko Presage Craftsmanship series reference SPB 445J1. A couple of years ago, Seiko released this new Craftsmanship series of Seiko Presage watches. There were two different references and they both looked quite sharp. Now they did have some downsides, one of the biggest being the fact that they were very expensive, $1,700 US. This year in 2024, there is a new edition with a porcelain dial once again, and the price is even higher. But the watch itself is pretty cool. So first of all, these porcelain dials, they're not easy to make. That's why the price is a little bit higher. And the craftsmanship behind these dials, hey, that's the name of the model, is really high. They kind of remind me of some Crador models, especially in person. When you see these watches, they do really stand out. It's hard to translate these porcelain or enamel dials over pictures and videos, but in person, it does look really cool and it does give you that sort of rich, wealthy look. Now, the thing that I'm not so crazy about with this watch, first of all, I think there's too much writing under Seiko's logo. You have Presage, automatic, and 3 days. I don't think you need 3 days written on the dial. Get rid of that. Get rid of automatic, just have Seiko and Presage. I think that would look cleaner. The other part of the watch that I really don't like, and I think a lot of watch community agrees with my sentiment, is the sub dial by the 6 o'clock position. I know it's not a second time zone. This watch doesn't come with the GMT function. That is a simple 24-hour indicator. I don't know why this watch needs it. I think it ruins a perfectly good looking dial with this weird sub dial. It's completely out of place. Other than those two negatives, I think the watch is very handsome. It also comes in a very good case size. 40.5mm case diameter, it's only 12.5mm in case height, and it's about 50mm from one lug to another. The cases are made out of stainless steel and they're finished to a very high standard. They all come with 100 meters of water resistance, even though the crown is not a screw down crown, it's a simple push-pull style crown. Now these watches are powered by the Seiko's 6R5H automatic movement, which is a pretty solid movement, although the accuracy tolerances are not the best. It's plus 25 seconds, minus 15 seconds per day, so it's not exactly a COSC certification by any means. These are also not high beat movements, they're beating at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and they have 72 hours of power reserve. As far as the pricing of this watch goes, as I mentioned, the 2022 version was $1,700 US. This version is $2,000. It's quite a bit of money, and I understand that there's a lot of craftsmanship, once again that name, goes into creating a watch like this, plus it has a porcelain dial, but at $2,000 you're competing with some pretty serious watches. Honestly, I'd probably rather have a Nomos over something like this, and especially with these bracelets. Seiko still hasn't learned their lesson and these bracelets are not up to par. But what do you guys think? Would you buy this watch over something like Tudor or something like Nomos? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Moving on to the next release. And it's another Seiko. This one is the Prospex Speedtimer Chronograph, reference SSC947. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about this release because essentially it's another variation of the Speedtimer Chronograph that we got a few years ago. Is the Solar Chronograph. If you remember, there was the Panda originally, and over the years Seiko has added quite a few different variations / versions of this chrono. This year with this reference SSC947, there's sort of an homage to the Seiko Pogue, one of the legendary Seiko chronographs. This 1970s Seiko chronograph was made famous by Colonel Pogue. That's why it's called Pogue, because he wore this watch, I believe, on the International Space Station. So this chrono has actually been to space. And over the years, there are quite a few different chronographs and just sort of standard Seiko 5 models with a similar paint scheme. This year there is this new solar one that actually looks pretty sharp, and I think if you're into these chronographs and if you appreciate and like Seiko's history, a watch like this will be very popular. Everything else about the watch is pretty much exactly the same as the standard Speedtimer. It still comes in a stainless steel case, 41.5mm case diameter. It's about 13.3mm in case height. Now these ones are powered by the Seiko Quartz solar movement. caliber V192. As far as the availability of this watch, it's not a limited edition, so you should be able to pick it up from any Seiko retailer, and they're priced at $700 USD, just like the standard Speedtimer. The new Doxa Sub 300T Sharkhunter Clive Cussler Limited Edition. Clive Cussler is an American novelist. He wrote something like 80 different books. They are very popular, and one of the main protagonists in these novels is wearing a Doxa on his wrist. Now, over the years, Doxa has kind of honored this unofficial partnership, if you will, and last year they actually released a limited edition Clive Cussler watch. This year there is another watch to celebrate Clive's what would have been a 93rd birthday. Unfortunately, he did pass away a few years ago, but July 15th, I believe, would have been his 93rd birthday. So to celebrate the fact, they're releasing this limited edition to 93 pieces of a Doxa Sub 300 Sharkhunter. First of all, the watch looks really cool. They created this sort of distressed metal look to the case, which looks very interesting. I actually really like how this watch appears, at least from the pictures. They also made some very good, in my opinion, styling choices, like having red and these cream accents on the dial. The date wheel at the 3 o'clock position appears to have some patina to keep up with the appearances of this sort of vintage weathered watch that you probably found at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. There's also the compass rose right in the center of the dial to kind of keep up with this adventure-like spirit of the watch. And overall, I think it looks very attractive. There's a lot of attention to detail with this watch, which I do really appreciate. Now, as far as the case goes, this is very similar to other Doxa offerings. It's about 42.5 millimeters in case diameter. It's 14 millimeters in case height, and it's about 44.5 millimeters from one lock to another. And even though it's a larger diver, these generally wear pretty well because of their cushioned design. Now, this one comes with 300 meters of water resistance, and it's powered by the Sellita SW200-1 automatic movement. This one has 26 joules and beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour with 38 hours of power reserve. As I mentioned, this is a very limited edition, only 93 pieces, and they are quite expensive, 3,350 euro or about 3,250 US dollars. So you have to be a fan of this look or of Clive or of Doxa to really buy something like this. But if you do, I think it's a pretty cool watch. The new Furlan Marri Disco Volante. Furlan Marri is a relatively new watch brand. I actually covered one of the releases last year. I believe it was a chronograph, and it had a very cool look. They certainly have a very impressive design department. Whatever they're doing, I think works, and these watches just in general look very attractive. Now, this year's model also, in my opinion, looks very attractive. Instead of a chronograph, it's more of a dressy timepiece inspired by some vintage models. There are 3 different dial options available. There is the blue one, salmon one, and green. My favorite is the salmon one. I think that looks very sharp and somehow traditional and futuristic modern at the same time. There are a couple of things that make this watch stand out from the competition. First of all, the design of the case. It is this flying saucer with hidden lugs. So when you wear the watch, it looks like a flying saucer on your wrist, and that's why the name Disco Volante, which from Italian literally translates the flying saucer. I personally am not a huge fan of these hidden lug designs, but I know some people really are, and it certainly makes the watch look more vintage. The second thing that's kind of cool about this watch is the lume on it. So it doesn't have the traditional lume, but it does have these sort of hidden lume tubes that you wouldn't think are there just looking at the watch in the daylight, but looking at the lume shots, it does look very unique. Now, these watches are powered by the ETA 7001 manual wound movement. I actually just reviewed a watch with the same movement. That one was from Zelos, and it was way cheaper than this watch. These movements have 17 joules, they beat at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and they have 42 hours of power reserve. As far as the case design, this one is 38mm diameter by 38mm lug-to-lug distance because it's a perfect circle. It's only 9mm in case height, very thin. That's one of the advantages of a movement like this. And it has 50 meters of water resistance. As far as the pricing and availability, this will be part of their standard catalog. It's not a limited edition, and it's priced at 2,500 Swiss francs, which is about 2,750 USD. In my opinion, the watch looks really cool, but it's also a bit overpriced. A lot of articles written about this watch are praising the price, and of course, yeah, if you compare it to a lot of the mainstream watch brands and luxury watch brands, it seems quite affordable. But viewers of my channel know of many other options available on the micro brand and sort of new watch brand market that are way more affordable, like the Zilos that I talked about, like the Baltic that I'm going to review next week, that offer very similar specs at a much lower price point. Now, I haven't handled one of these watches in person, so I don't know how good the quality is, but still, almost $3,000 for this sort of new unknown boutique brand just seems a little bit too high for me personally, but maybe I'm wrong. And that's it for this week's releases. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what releases stood out to you personally. I always enjoy reading your comments. Thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you next time.